We are exactly on time. You can have your tea or coffee, but if you can keep the quiet, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Welcome to the third session of this conference. The topic of this session is mutual conceptions and misconceptions. We have on this panel 4 speakers. One of them is here, and the other 3 you will see their broadcast. Actually, their recorded speech on film. So, and I can promise you that they are very interesting. It's always very interesting to you as a student in the high school, and you as in the first or second year of the military service or others, always to see and to get to know the views of the other side, which is very important. Our first speaker, Dr. Thamar Gindin, will speak. The title of her lecture is Israeli Misconceptions of the Islamic Theocracy in Iran. Dr. Gindin is a research fellow at the Ezri Center, also a lecturer at the Shalem Center in Jerusalem. She focuses on contemporary historical social trends in Iran. Her PhD, of course, is on pre-Islamic period, so she actually covers a very long history and culture of Iran. And without further delay, please, Dr. Gindin.
Hello, good afternoon. Are you seeing the... Okay. I'm a linguist and Bolshevik, and I use the social media in order to read contemporary Persian and study contemporary Persian. This is why I don't read anything boring. In the morning session, people were complaining about reading boring material. For me, no material is boring because they all use very interesting language and very interesting forms of language. Today's lecture is not about Iranian social media, but about Israeli social and other media. We'll then expand to world media and other media in Israel. And I'm always accused of being an agent of Iran or being a hardcore left-winger because I try to correct people's views on Iran. I'm not talking about Israelis thinking all Iranians are Arab. You already know they're not, right? Yeah. There was an article on Ynet about many people being killed in some, I don't remember what it was, in Turkey, and the commenter said, okay, now we just need something like this in Iran, and that's to all Arabs. And I didn't know if I was more ashamed that people are dying and these single-digit IQ people are rejoicing, or because they think Turks and Iranians are Arabs. They're not. I'm not talking about that. I'm also not talking about the fact about the difference between the Islamic Republic and Iran that most people don't make. A lot of Israelis think that the Islamic Republic is Iran, and that Iran is the Islamic Republic. My colleagues in the other lectures, I assume Mendy Khalaji and Mohsen Sazagara will talk about this. So I'm not even talking about this. What I want to talk about today, am I being funny? Are misconceptions in Israel about the present-day Islamic theocracy in Iran. My presentation is in Hebrew because it's about Israeli misconceptions, and I'll start with this. It says, you can read the Hebrew, I'll translate it to English. Iran is here. This picture was taken in Israel, in Bet Shemesh, which is becoming more and more ultra-Orthodox and going over the dark mountains. You can never see a picture like this in Iran, because Iranian hijab shows the face. Okay, so in some places where Israelis say we're becoming Iran, they mean we're becoming Afghanistan. Maybe in Afghanistan you can see such things, not in Iran. Or this. I brought this picture twice because I took it from two different places on the web, but in both of them, the first comment was Iran Zakat, Iran is here. This is a request for women who are waiting for their husbands outside the synagogue to hide so other men will not see them. Not to wait just in front of the synagogue so people will not see them and maybe get aroused. I don't know if it's a real sign. I know rabbis in Israel were opposing this, but this is just as representative as what people think about Iran. In both cases, the responses were Iran is here. I haven't seen anything like this in Iran. Women in Iran are allowed in all public places, and no one demands they hide. They are demanded to wear hijab. That's something different. This is the other one that says Iran is here. Another thing, the Supreme Court, this is the title of this article, is about the Supreme Court making Kavei Mahadlin legal. Kavei Mahadlin are bus lines that are separate for men and women. Bus lines with men and women separation, and the Supreme Court ruled, or will rule, they are legal. It's from 2010, but look at the responses. Iran is already here. Iran, the fourth one. This is a disgrace for our country, and we're laughing about Iran. In Iran, there are separate buses or separate parts of the buses for women, but women can go wherever men go. It's just not the other way around, and the reason is to protect women against sexual harassment. So it's not about keeping women away from society, it's about keeping men away from women who don't want men near them. This is something we might want to adopt in Israel. This one really made me palm face. I'm doing it like this so I can see better. It says that it's about a law that was recently suggested, that if someone opens their business on Saturday and holidays, they will not only be fined, as they are now, but they can be incarcerated for up to 1 year. And it says, or party, and we will not be Iran. There are a few things in this picture that made me go like this. Can you tell me what the first one is?
No niqab.
Right. She's wearing the, she can't be Iranian. The woman in this picture may be Saudi, but she can't be Iranian. If she were Iranian, you would have seen her face. This is, by the way, the reason that Iran is #1 in nose jobs. Nituach plasti laf. Because this is all you see, and it has to be perfect. The second thing is that, well, Saturday in Iran is a normal work day. The week starts on Saturday, and the weekend, what we have here as Friday and Saturday, is Thursday and Friday in Iran. And Thursday night and Friday in Iran are the best business days. All the businesses are open. Everyone goes shopping. Islam doesn't have a day of rest. It has a holy day, but it doesn't have rest. It doesn't have mandatory rest on these days. So if we want to be like Iran at this point, we have to allow all businesses to operate on Shabbat. But we don't want to be like Iran, right? Here again, Iran is here. Gila Almago is a famous Israeli actress. And this is again against the decision to close supermarkets on Saturday, which cannot happen in Iran, in present-day Iran. Another thing that will not, Iran and Taliban in Afghanistan. What's like Iran and Taliban in Afghanistan? That they want to ban soccer on Saturday. Here again, Saturday is not a mandatory day of rest. They're confusing religious coercion with what's going on in Iran. The confirmation bias is a psychological term, which means that when you believe something to be right, you find more evidence to prove that it's right. So if we're looking for things to prove that Iran has religious coercion, we will find it. I'm not saying it doesn't. Okay, on the second part, I'll say what Iran does have. If you want to say that Iranians are not treating women properly, you will find evidence of this, and if there's other evidence, you will ignore it. Okay, when I say in my lectures that the only Iranian Nobel laureate, the Hot Plus Nobel, and the only Iranian Fields Medal winner, Medallion Fields, it's like the Nobel Prize for mathematics, are women. They say, yes, but they don't live in Iran. The one who won the Nobel Prize won it while living in Iran because she was acting against the regime. That's right. It's not the regime who gave her the Nobel Prize, but it shows you where women can get in Iran. But then, because of the confirmation bias, we'll put it aside or we'll give it another reason. I'll read the definition. Seeking or interpreting evidence in ways that are partial to existing beliefs, which means they confirm your existing belief, expectations, or hypothesis enhanced. And this is from about more than 150 years ago, when men wished to construct or support a theory how they torture facts into their service. This is another thing we do. Not only do Israelis not know about Iran, they can also find real evidence. The following passage will be from a research done in the Knesset, in the Israeli parliament, about different types of marriages or different arrangements that can replace marriage. Because as you know, I assume you know that in Israel only religious marriage is recognized. People of different religions can get married abroad. Same-sex marriages abroad are recognized by the Ministry of Internal Affairs, but you can't get married in Israel if you're the same sex or different religion, or if you're Jewish but you don't have enough proof. I mean, I have a friend whose father's name is Alexander, and the rabbis in Persian, they say they took her father out until they let her get married. It means they gave her a very, very hard time and asked her a lot of questions, and she had to get a lot of proof to show that she's Jewish and she can get married here. And when I say here, I mean Israel. So what the Knesset says is that except Israel, all Western democracies have civil marriage, and on the other part, there are countries that only allow religious marriage. Mostly countries where, mostly Muslim countries, like Iran, for example. Another one is Sudan. Maybe the Sudanese expert, maybe is on here? Maybe he can say...
He'll come later.
He'll come later. Maybe he can say it's true about Sudan too. But you know where they get married in Iran? In Iran, they go to the civil registry, which is part of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Misrad Apnim, and they get married there. it's true that a Muslim woman can't marry a non-Muslim man. But from what my sources tell me, the only way they confirm it is they ask, are you both Muslim, or what's your religion? You can lie, they don't check. What society thinks about it is something different. But the marriage is only civil. There is no religious ceremony usually, not for most Muslims. What is true is that the contract you sign has very, very small letters, which are the Islamic law. And it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Baha'i or Christian or Jewish. When you get married in the civil registry, you get married according to Islamic law, which allows the man to decide if the woman goes out of the country, or only the man can initiate divorce and things like that. But the marriage is civil, so Israel will not be Iran. We will not allow civil marriage. This is a map of marriage freedom in the world. As you see, Israel and Iran are both black, which means we're the lowest, both countries are the lowest level of freedom in marriage. As Dad said in his lecture in the morning, that the Islamic Republic of Iran was based on the model of the Jewish state in Israel. So they have a lot to learn until they become Israel. Another thing is that the confirmation bias makes us see facts, or makes us see incidents that are very small and rare, and make them the rule. For example, stoning adulterers. If a woman cheats on her husband, or if a husband cheats on his wife, they should be stoned to death. That's the law. It's the Islamic law. But in order to enforce that law, you have to prove that they cheated on each other. But in order to prove that, you need 4 witnesses who saw everything. I won't elaborate on what everything is, but they have to give an identical description. And if the descriptions are not 100% identical, if they're 99% identical, they get whipped. So no one will want to do that. But the story of Soraya M. Right, but why is the story of Soraya M so famous? Because it's not the usual story. Or polygamy, which is allowed according to the law. The law allows polygamy, but in order to marry a second wife, you need the permission of the first wife. And if the first wife gives you permission, she can also initiate a divorce, which means you lose your power over her. Marriage in Iran is actually a contract of power. The woman has power over the man by his money, and the man has power over the woman by her rights. You give money, you get rights. But if everything is okay, you don't have to lose your rights or lose your money. Another thing which shows the confirmation bias, this is not Israel. This is it was also published in Israel, but also in world media. An Iranian rape victim will be executed unless she publicly admits to lying about her assault. That's horrible. It means Iran, what it implies, doesn't mean implies. Okay? It implies Iran executes rape victims, which is worse than the Emirates and Saudi Arabia. There they only get incarcerated. They only go to jail. In Iran, they execute rape victims, really? Unless they say they lied? Could that be true? Okay, let's look at reality. In Iran, rapists, in the Islamic Republic of Iran, right? Rapists are the ones who are being executed. This woman, who was executed about 2 years ago, felt she was about to get raped, and she killed her assailant. So she was almost a rape victim, according to her feeling, and she killed a man. The punishment for killing a person is death. But the person who was killed, well, the family of the person who was killed can forgive the killer, and then the killer will not be executed. And the rapist, the alleged rapist's son said that if she said she lied, if she said her father didn't try to rape her and clears his name, they will forgive her and she will not be executed. So it's the title is a little bit misleading because she wasn't actually a rape victim, but yes, she will be executed if she doesn't clear the person's name. These were a few examples of how we see the theocracy in Iran in ways that are not correct. Why is it important? Am I saying now that I want to go live in Iran because they execute rapists and because women in Iran can get Nobel Prize? No. The Islamic regime in Iran does atrocious things, which are not the subject of this lecture, but we have to know what they're doing if we want to criticize them, if we want to fight it. I'll give you a small example of how a small mistake like this can cost a lot. A few years ago, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, gave an interview, and he said some very, very correct things. One of the things he said, which Iranians really liked, is that he distinguished between Iran and the Islamic Republic, which most world leaders, at least in their speeches, don't do. But then he said, young people in Iran want to wear jeans. Young people in Iran wear jeans. They were not allowed to wear jeans maybe in the first decade of the revolution.
I think the quote was that he wants to see more people wearing jeans in Iran, and that will be a modern Iran.
Yeah, no, but he said they want to wear jeans, insinuating they can't.
Yeah.
I know that my friends who lived in Iran after the revolution said that they were chased by people who were cutting their jeans, or you could...
Tight jeans.
Tight jeans? Tight jeans? Okay.
Tight.
Tight jeans. For guys too, because it was a guy who said that.
Even guys who are wearing tight jeans.
Okay. Okay, I'll tell you the name later, you know him. But with all the right things he said, because of this little mistake that he said Iranian youth are not allowed to wear jeans, all the social media was, no, we are wearing jeans, and Iranian people published their pictures with jeans, and all the other things he said, his separation between Iran and the Islamic Republic was forgotten. So we have to know what's true and what's not true, and I would like to see Israel more similar to Iran when it comes to businesses open on Saturday and civil marriage. Not in everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to Dr. Thamar Gindin. I would like to continue, please. Our next absent speaker is, actually the next three speakers will talk about the perceptions of Israel in the eyes of Iranians, Iranian intellectuals, clerics, the regime, and the Iranian people, about the state of Israel and about the Israelis. So first of them is Dr. Rasul Nafisi. He is a professor of sociology of development and philosophy at Strayer University, where he has been teaching since 1988. He has served at different positions at the university and has been awarded several times, as well as being nominated twice as the best American teacher of the year by the American Professor Who is Who. He is the author and co-author of 4 books and published numerous articles on political sociology of Iran. The title of his lecture is Attitude of the Iranian Religious Class Toward the State of Israel, but he talks also about the intellectuals.